Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to my channel, This Story Ain't Over. So today I'm bringing you my November TBR and I literally cannot believe it's already November and that there are only 2 months left of the year. But regardless, we're gonna have a great time. I'm gonna read some really great books and I'm just excited overall because November is also National Novel Writing Month, which is usually the time of year where I join many other people around the world who are trying to write a novel, write 50,000 words in the month, and I epically fail every year because I am incapable of just writing consistently throughout the month, but I always participate every year regardless of the fact that I always fail, so I'm excited to do that again. I am going to be working on the book that I'm writing that is taking a lot longer than I hoped because I've just been busy and had to focus on other things and whatever else going on. But regardless, overall excited to do that and also read some great books. But before we get into the books that I'm going to be reading this month, I did want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, which is Book of the Month. So you guys know I love Book of the Month. I've mentioned them many times before. They are a super popular and fast-growing online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and help readers discover books that they love. The way it works is that their team vets hundreds of books that are releasing each month, and then they give readers a choice from a curated list where they can choose one book to come in their Book of the Month box. One thing that I think is really awesome about Book of the Month is that not only do you get a really awesome deal with the price, but you also have a totally risk-free skip policy. So if at any point you don't like the selection of books for that month, you can literally just skip that month and continue your subscription later. And if you guys use my code STORY and the link in my description, you can actually get your first Book of the Month box for only $9.99. It is US only, but I think it's a really awesome deal with the way that adult hardcover fiction is priced these days. Like, it is usually like 2, 3, or 4 times that price. So you're really getting the best deal, and if you are seeing a book that you're interested in on Book of the Month, I would just go grab it because you get the first month for $9.99, and for future months, if you don't like the choices, you can just skip until you find another one that you like. So overall, I think it's an awesome deal. You should definitely check it out, and I'm very excited to tell you about the November picks for Book of the Month. So as some of you might know, I recently started a whole book club called the Read and Color Book Club, and I definitely think this first Book of the Month book will be a great one for that book club for a future pick, and that book is The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. This follows a woman who is half Japanese and half British, and so from the British side of her family, she is like a reaper, and then from the Japanese side of her family, she is a shinigami, which is like the Japanese version of a soul reaper. So it seems like it's going to be a really awesome book. The next book is The Family by Naomi Krupitsky, and this one, it seems like it is set in like historical New York and involves like a crime family. And the book actually follows 2 daughters of these 2 men who are in this unspoken community called the family, and it seems like there's some sort of gang, and it is following sort of a fallout between these 2 women who have been best friends since they were young. The next one seems super cute, and that is How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days by K.M. Jackson. And this just seems like a really cute contemporary romance which follows this woman who is absolutely obsessed with Keanu Reeves, learns that he's gonna get married, and is determined to stop it from happening, so enlists her best friend to help her with this whole situation, but doesn't realize that he's probably absolutely in love with her. The next book is The Collective by Allison Galen, and this one seems like it's a psychological thriller, and it follows a woman who is looking for the murderer of her daughter. And then the last book in the curated list for November is A Little Hope by Ethan Joella, and this seems like it's just like a nice literary contemporary fiction about the various lives of these neighbors in this small town in Connecticut. And then Book of the Month was super kind enough to send me a couple of their add-on books as well. So for each month, you can like pick a book to go in your blue box. You can also add on an additional book and it'll get included in your box. So they sent me 2 of their add-ons, and one of them is a memoir and one of them is a collection of essays. So the first is Will, which is Will Smith's memoir written with Mark Manson. And then the second is a collection of essays written by Emily Ratajkowski, and this is called My Body, and it explores like feminism and sexuality and that sort of thing. So yeah, overall super excited about the Book of the Month picks for November, especially The Keeper of Night. Let me know if you guys would be interested in reading that one because we might do it as a book club pick for the Read in Color book club. But thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Definitely go check out the deal in the description of my video, the link, and you can get your first box for only $9.99 with my code STORY. Alrighty, let's get into the books that I'm planning to read in November. So as you guys may have saw in the Book of the Month mention, I did talk about my book club that I recently announced, which is called the Read in Color book club. I have a whole announcement video that you can go check out to learn more details and like specifics of what's going to be happening. But basically we're going to be reading one book each month as a group, a book by a BIPOC author, so a person of color, and I'll be hosting a live show at the end of that month or early the next one with a booktuber of color who matches sort of the identity of the book we're reading. We're also going to be doing some discussion on the app called Fable as well, and I'm overall just like super excited for this book club and for this new sense of community between us and to just read some awesome books by people of color. So if you have a book that you really want to see as a pick for the book club, or a booktuber or book creator that you really enjoy that you'd like to see as a co-host, definitely leave them down below. But for the first month of the book club, which is November, this month, we are going to be reading Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton, and the co-host of the month is going to be Olivia from Stories for Coffee. I absolutely love Olivia. She's one of my favorite booktubers. She has some really aesthetic videos and just some really cozy videos as well, so you should definitely check them out if you're into adult fiction. And Olivia herself is Cuban American, and the book follows a Cuban American main character. It is set in like two different timelines. So the first timeline is in 2017. It follows her main character Marisol in Miami, and she's grown up on these romantic stories from her grandmother, but when her grandmother passes away and asks for her ashes to be spread in her home in Cuba, Marisol goes to Cuba to do that. And what she discovers when she gets to Cuba is that although the landscape is totally beautiful, it is, you know, a war-torn country, and she starts sort of digging into her past and into her family's past. And that's where the second perspective and second timeline comes in, where we are getting the story from her grandmother's perspective from 1958 and how she ends up in a clandestine affair with a passionate revolutionary. And all this just seems so fantastic. Like, I love the two timelines and the, you know, romances going on in each one, and it just seems like it's gonna be fantastic. I know Olivia loves this one already, so I totally trust her opinion, and I'm so excited to read it. So I hope you guys will join me for the Read in Color book club. We'll be having the live show at the end of November / beginning of December. I will announce the date and time very soon. All right, and then I'm also starting my book club with my patrons from Patreon. So if you guys don't know, I recently launched a Patreon where you can support me with a small contribution each month, and you get access to extra and exclusive content from me, including like early access to some of my videos, exclusive vlogs and like movie nights and live shows and that sort of thing. And then we also do a monthly book club for some of the tiers as well, where we read a book together and then I talk about it with you in a little live Discord chat event at the end of the month / early the next one. So the book that we all voted on together for my November Patreon book club is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This book has been like getting really popular all over TikTok and just basically everywhere, I feel like. I've seen so many people picking this up recently. It is a pretty new release. I got it in the Book of the Month box a couple months ago, I think. And basically it seems like a really cute romance. From what I know, it involves a fake dating relationship between these two scientists at this lab. And I think the main character is like the type of person who really just doesn't believe in love and that sort of thing, but ends up roped into this situation. And it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know a lot of people have recently read it and absolutely loved it. So I'm very excited, but I'd love to hear from you guys. If you have read the book, let me know what you thought of it. And if you haven't read The Love Hypothesis or are planning to reread it, I would highly recommend checking out my Patreon in the link down below and joining our little community. I'm just having so much fun like chatting with a bunch of you on like our Discord as well, and you know, getting to know what you guys are up to and reading and all of that. And it's just a fun, cozy, and wonderful time. Alrighty, the next book that I'm planning to read is one that I put on like 10 different TBRs this month, but I swear I am gonna read it this month, and that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I've talked about it multiple times. I've read some of Colleen Hoover's previous romances before and really enjoyed some of them, and this is one of her thrillers. Many people have told me they love this. My sister recently read it and absolutely loved it, and she told me I need to go read it. So yeah, I'm excited to pick this one up. I had planned to pick it up during spooky season, but never got around to it. But I am going to be reading it in a vlog with another book that is very popular on TikTok, which is my next read, and that is Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. So I've been hearing so much about this book. It is another self-published book as well. I think Verity is also self-published, but this is a dark academia from what I know, and a lot of people have just been gushing about it and like how the characters are really awesome as well. I think I saw some like illustrations floating around somewhere and I thought they were really cool, but that's basically all I know about this. I believe there's some sort of like magic involved and like illusions and stuff, and it is set in something called the Alexandrian Society, who are these caretakers of long lost knowledge from, you know, ancient civilizations, but they are also a secret society of magicians. And so yeah, I believe this like follows a pretty diverse cast of characters as well, which I'm excited about. And overall, I've just heard really amazing things about it, so I'm excited to pick it up. I do believe Tor Books, the publisher, is going to be actually publishing this like from their imprint as well next year, I think. Yeah, if I end up liking this, I'll probably buy like that edition as well. But I'm really excited for this. Like, this sounds like it's gonna be fantastic and I cannot wait to read it. All right, the next book is one that I'm so excited to read, and that is Bunny by Mona Awad. And as you guys may know, I recently read one of Mona Awad's other books, which is All's Well, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite book, but it definitely was a really cool and enjoyable read. I definitely think it's a book that's not necessarily for everyone, but it was still a really cool read. And I know a lot of people love Bunny by this author or absolutely hate Bunny by this author. So I'm really curious to see if I'm gonna like it. It follows a woman in like a graduate fiction writing class, and she ends up like falling in with this group of other women or girls at the program who have this like weird like society thing going on, and their group is called the Smut Salon, and they call each other Bunny for some reason. And it seems like the book is just gonna get really weird. That's what I've heard from most people, that it just is really weird. But I also just love how it sort of sounds like a bit of a cult in the way that their mindsets all come together. So I'm curious to see how this one's gonna go. I know Chloe from Books with Chloe really loves this one as well, and so does Kayla from Books and Lala, and I trust both of their opinions. So I'm very excited to try this one out and pick it up. And I also really enjoyed the author's writing when I was reading All's Well, so I'm assuming the writing will be quite similar in this one, which I'm excited about. All right, the next book is one that I hauled a while ago, and that is Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. I'd been hearing about this book like ages ago when it first came out. I think so many people on BookTube were reading it, and I had been wanting to pick it up since then, but never got around to it. So I bought it recently and then had intended to read it during spooky season, but never got around to it. So I'm hoping to read it this month. It is a collection of short stories that explore like sexuality and feminism. And it also spans like multiple different genres. There's a lot of like speculative genres as well. So like horror and sci-fi and fantasy, I think. And I think I mentioned this in the haul, but it says, here are 8 startling stories that map the realities of women's lives and the violence visited upon their bodies, which I think is such an interesting concept, and I'm really curious to see how she's going to explore it. And as I said, a lot of booktubers that I watch really love this one, and a bunch of you actually commented on my haul and said it was fantastic, so I'm very excited to read it, and I think the writing is just going to be amazing, so I'm so excited. All right, the next book that I'm hoping to read is one that I'm super excited for because it is one of the last books that I have of this author's books to read, and that is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So as you guys may know, if you've been watching my recent videos, I've become absolutely obsessed with this author's books. I have read every single one of her backlist books except for this one, and I think one or two others. I think one is like a set of short stories, and then there's another like novel that she has, but I'm really excited about this one because I know a lot of people love it. It is set in the 1920s in the Jazz Age in Mexico, and it follows a woman who gets wrapped up with some gods of Mexican folklore. So it's like a Mayan god and her, and they go on like this journey, and it seems like it's gonna be really cool. So I'm excited, and I just love this author's writing and like her storytelling, and I think it's gonna be fantastic. I do think that this one and like Mexican Gothic are probably 2 of everyone's favorites of her books, so I'm excited to see what I'm gonna think of this one. Right now, I think I loved Mexican Gothic and The Beautiful Ones the most, so I'm curious to see if this one will knock either of those down on my ranking. Alrighty, and then the final book that I'm hoping to pick up this month is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niveau, and this one is one that I've been trying to pick up for the past few months now. I was so excited when it came out in June, I think, and I actually did start it, but I haven't gotten quite further in it, so I'm hoping to actually finish it this month. It is basically a retelling of The Great Gatsby, but told from the perspective of Jordan Baker, as if she were queer and also Asian, and it also has a bit of a like speculative element to it as well. Like there's some magical things that happen in it as well. So I'm just super interested in this concept and idea. So far of what I've read at the beginning, it feels a lot like The Great Gatsby, like the language and writing is very similar to it, and it is following the storyline to the T so far. So I'm curious to see how it's gonna go. I do feel like I may have had higher than normal expectations for this, so I hope I don't get completely disappointed, but I have a feeling I might. But regardless, I do want to like finish it and see how it goes. So if any of you have read this one, I would love to hear what you thought of it. And if you had like high expectations going into it and then were sort of disappointed by the end, let me know. Alrighty, but those are all the books, the like 8 or 9 different books that I'm hoping to read in November. I am super excited about, you know, reading more in November. I had a really great reading month in October. That wrap up is probably coming very soon. So I'm hoping to like continue that momentum in November, but also get some writing done hopefully, and just also start up these 2 book clubs that I'm very excited about, like the Patreon one and the Reading Color book club. I'm just so excited for both, and I hope you guys will join for at least one of them or both if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely let me know down below which books you are planning to read in November, and if you have read any of these books on my list and what you thought of them. Go check out my Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, and TikTok in the description down below. And if you haven't already and you're in the US, I would definitely check out Book of the Month and grab your first box for only $9.99 with my code STORY using the link down below. I will see you guys in my next video, and please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!